On the summit of Everest, at 8,848 meters, the air contains only a third of the oxygen that it does at sea level. It's well into the death zone. You can't survive here for long because your body's deteriorating by the second. Hundreds of people have died trying to climb Everest. Dan's ascent was part of a medical expedition to find out why some people are so much better at coping in the tenuous atmosphere.
What never ceases to amaze us when we go to the mountain is the very fit, sort of sporty type people who are really fit at sea level can tend to do very badly at high altitude. And we've learnt that the amount of oxygen that you deliver around your body doesn't really give a good indication of how well you perform, which goes against the sort of classic teaching that we're all taught in physiology books. The more oxygen that goes around, the better you are.
So it's just being an Olympic athlete isn't enough?
No, sadly not. And it may count against you.
It's believed that at very high altitude, the most important thing is not how much oxygen you can extract from the air, but how efficiently you can use it. So just below the summit, Dan's team stopped to take blood samples to see just how little oxygen they were surviving on. The results surprised even the experts.
We found some fairly astonishing numbers when we got back. When we calculate the oxygen saturation, which is comparable to what you see on the probe, mine was 34%.
34%?
Yeah. Pretty low.
That's absolutely shocking.
I've
never seen a living patient.
Me neither. So
with those numbers.
Incredibly low.
Dan's blood oxygen level was the lowest ever recorded in a living human being. Somehow, his body was surviving on levels of oxygen that would be fatal to most people. It's not clear how he was able to do this, but one intriguing possibility is that his body was remembering a time when it had to cope with much lower levels of oxygen. As an unborn baby, you had to rely on sharing the oxygen from your mother's blood, and there was much less of it to go around. In fact, the oxygen levels in the womb are almost exactly the same as those on the top of Everest. In order to cope, your body's physiology was modified, allowing it to use that tiny amount of oxygen as efficiently as possible. It may be that the only reason we're able to stand on the summit of the world's highest mountain is that our bodies are able to reactivate those metabolic pathways that we last used in the womb. But Everest is our limit. If it was just 100 meters higher, we wouldn't be able to survive on the summit without taking additional oxygen. If it was just 100 meters higher, we wouldn't be able to survive on the summit without taking additional oxygen.
By the time you reach the summit, you're really at the end of what you can tolerate, both physically and mentally.